Greetings. This is Jim Wickens from nfldraftfanatics.com, and this is going to be a demonstration of FANATIC mode, which is new functionality to the draft simulator. And the purpose of FANATIC mode is to give a unique mock draft. Okay, so we'll define kind of what it means to be unique. But let's fundamentally talk about, first of all, how does this simulator work? It is different than every other mock draft simulator out there. So I would like to point out what makes us different. Okay. So if we go up to team needs and you find the team that you're interested in this case, the Houston Texans, we're going to scroll down to Houston. Okay, it lists their team needs, and on the far right, there's a player list. So I'm going to open that player list. Okay, every team at nfldraftfanatics.com has its own player list. So if you look here, this is the player list that the simulator uses for the Texans. And if you're asking, well, how did Jeremiah Trotter get to number 7 for the Texans? A fan put them there. Okay, he was not 7 on the big board that was loaded, but he's been mock drafted enough to Houston that he's in the top 7. Same with Cooper DeJean. So the players that you see here are here because fans picked them. Now, why would Neighbors be higher than Marvin Harrison Jr.? Couple of reasons. Enough fans have picked Neighbors that he's here, and the likelihood that Marvin Harrison Jr. is available at the time the Texans pick is really, really low. So that's a combination of fans picking and is the player available to be picked. Okay, so that's what the player list looks like. Now we're going to come in and we want to set up a 4-round mock for the Houston Texans. And we're going to talk about this FANATIC mode. The definition of FANATIC mode is a unique mock draft. I want a unique mock draft. So I'm going to flip that on. How many unique mock drafts do you want to do? I'm going to do 5 unique mocks, 4 rounds each. Okay. Now we will start the draft. So I believe the Texans have a first-round pick, and I believe they have a second. I'm less clear as what they have in rounds 3 and 4, but we will find out as we go. Okay, so the simulator goes, and it does what it does. So it's picking, and I've noticed a couple of unique picks as I was going through. Top of the draft, other than Jaden Daniels going to the Bears, this looks like something I might resemble as a mock draft. And then Josh Newton going to the Steelers, a fan definitely is the one that put him there. So notice that Trotter is number 1 on the Texans board. According to this, they need wide receiver, corner, defensive tackle. That would be wide receiver, corner, defensive tackle. And O'Dunn's is currently 14th on their board. I'm going to pick O'Dunn's. Okay, so now it's going into round 2. And again, this will be a relatively normal mock draft. We're looking for defensive tackle, wrong team. Defensive tackle, corner. So I see King almost at the top, other than Trotter didn't get picked in round 2 yet. So I'm going to go King. And now we're going into round 3. And nothing is going to be unusual the first time. If you're in FANATIC mode, the first draft you do is going to be like any other mock draft you do in any other simulator, right? It's simulating a group of players, and then you're going to go through and you're going to pick somebody. So we haven't done we did do Neighbors, right? Or we did O'Dunn's. Okay, so at this point, we're looking for defensive tackle, tight end. In round 3. What other positions are there? That was not a round 3 board that I liked. So I'm going to kind of dig and say, is there a player here that I like? Do they need a guard? Not high on the list. Okay, so let's focus on their needs. I've already done corner. Defensive line, Stackhouse round 3. But that was not a strong round 3 board. Granted, they were at the end of round 3, so that's probably why. And then at this point, tight end, edge, running back, tight end, running back, edge. I definitely like Irving in round 4. And they have another pick, and they have an edge sitting at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and pick him. That was 2 round 4 picks. Okay, so now it's going to go through, and it's doing a simulation again. This is the second mock in a row. So right, I turned on FANATIC mode. I'm going to do 5 mocks. What the simulator does is it makes sure the player I picked last time isn't available to me now. So O'Dunn's goes the pick before Houston. What will they do? Okay, so let's look at the wide receiver list. Polk is 53rd on their player board. I'm going to draft Jalen Polk in round 1. Okay, so when I picked him, he moved up. He's probably going to move up into the top 10. I will show you that on the player board in a few minutes. Okay, so then cornerback, defensive tackle. They have a defensive tackle right at the top of their draft card. So when the position of need is at the top of the draft card, that player got there because enough fans have picked Taylor to Houston in round 2 that he's sitting at the top of their draft card. That's not an accident. Okay, so at this point, cornerback, tight end. Take the top corner on their board. And running back. So I'm going to take Kendall Milton, observe that he was 270 on their draft card. We'll see if we can get him to move off of 270. So anytime you pick a player, they should move up. The question is, I picked him in the 4th round, so he's not going to move up much, but we will see how much he moved up. And when I say move up, he moves up in value. Whether he moves up in rank depends on other things. Okay, so now we are doing the 3rd unique mock. So see where it says iteration 3. That means that we are in the 3rd mock of 5. All of the mocks guaranteed to be unique. So if the 2 players I picked in round 1 aren't available, what would Houston do? So do they go Troy Franklin? I definitely like Franklin, so I would pick him. Now, whether or not Franklin can increase in value enough that Trotter drops remains to be seen. Okay, Trotter's still there in round 2. Is there a corner or a defensive lineman? So several good defensive linemen here. So Jenkins is 58th on the board. I'm going to go ahead and pick him. And I point out where somebody is on the board, hoping that I remember what his number was, what his rank was, so that when I go look at the player board at the end of the demonstration, I might remember that Jenkins was 58. Okay, so at this point, I've gone wide receiver, defensive line, right? Yep. So we still need to do corner, and we will do Pritchett there. And then we're at the back part here. So we've done, so now we're looking for tight end, edge, running back. So tight end, edge, running back. I do like if Gabriel Murphy's there. That's definitely a pick I like. And then let's go running back. Marks is there. Okay. At this point, I have finished, I believe that was the third of the 5. So we are starting the 4th unique mock draft. This mock draft is guaranteed to be different than the one that preceded it. Okay. So it won't let me pick any of the 3 players I picked in round 1 before. It won't, they're not on the board. It will not display them to you. You have to come up with somebody unique. So what would you do if this was your wide receiver list? Would you go wide receiver or would you go to a different position? So if we go to a different position, let me give you one here, edge. Adisa Isaac, he's 165. I'm going to pick him in round 1. Now, if you don't like that player in round 1, you can come in and do a Houston Texans mock. And if you pick players that aren't Adisa Isaac, he'll fall down the draft card again. Okay. And now we're in round 2. Brendan Rice, round 2. Jamari Thrash, round 2. I'll do Thrash in round 2. Okay. They need a corner. Okay. So at this point, running backs available. Not a fan of the running backs that are there. We'll do Donovan Edwards. Make the decision quick. And then have I done defensive lineman? Let's do Wingo. Okay, and that was Wingo in round 4. I'm impressed with some of the players that are falling to round 4. I like the round 4 board better than the round 3 board. Okay, so now we're doing the last mock. Okay, so this is the 5th of 5. When we turned on Fanatic mode, we said we were going to do 5. That meant 5 unique mocks, 4 rounds each. Okay, so if this is the board, what would the Texans do? So, for example, if you're like, well, is that Latu over Trotter? So I'm going to take Latu there. So I kept skipping Trotter. He was 7th when we came in. By me skipping him, there's a good chance he's going to be below 7. And that's something we can check on the board as we go through. Okay. They don't need offensive tackle. So let's do cornerback. Josh Newton. Sure. Did I select wide receiver first? No, I did the 2. So we still need wide receiver. So what kind of board are we going to see for 3rd round wide receivers? There is a sweet spot of the draft. I think round 2, round 3, there's going to be a lot of people say that's a 3rd round grade at wide receiver that you get in round 4, that type of thing. But like McConkey, Wilson, Corley, Burton, round 3, Anaya Smith, round 3. I like both of them. Okay, so now we're in round 4. I'm going to verify the running backs, but I'm probably not going to like. If I didn't like the list last time, it's not like the list will get better. Okay, but I do see Edgerrin Cooper in round 4, which is a pick I really like. And then I see Anaya Smith in round 4, which is another pick I really like. So by that 5th mock, I was definitely going value over need. So let's take a look at what I just did. So I'm going to go to team needs. Let's open that and compare that to the players that I picked. Okay. So the first thing is we kept skipping Trotter. Trotter was 7th at the time that we came in. So let's find Houston. Let's go to the player list over here. So Trotter was 7. Let's look to see how far he fell down because I never picked him. Okay. So I never picked him and he fell to 24. He went from 7 to 24 because I did 5 mock drafts and didn't pick him. I didn't pick him in round 1 5 times. There was at least 2 times he was there in round 2 and I skipped him in round 2. So each round that you skip him, the simulator is keeping track of that. Okay, so let's look at O'Dunn's. He is currently 5th on their board. Kalen King is 26th. I don't remember where he started, though. Irving is 100. I took Polk in round 1. I don't remember where he started, but I'm going to say he was in the 70s or 60s, and I just moved him up to 9. Okay, Kendall Milton. I think he was 270, and he moved to 201. I'll have to go back and watch the video, but I thought he was in like undrafted free agent territory at the time I drafted him. And by me taking him in the 4th round, he moved to 201 on their player board. Okay, so he moved up a moderate amount. And that's actually, 70 spots is significant, right? Because if somebody is 270, they're not going to get drafted. Whereas if somebody's in the 200s, that's at least a low, that's a late round draft pick. Okay. Troy Franklin is 6th. Okay. Isaac, I took him round 1. He is 20th on their board, and I believe he was like 140 on the board at the time that I picked him. Okay. Let's look at Thrash. I think he was about, I don't remember where he was. I thought he was higher than 79, but again, my memory, I don't take a lot of notes on that. So you can see, hopefully, that the player boards move for some of the players. Okay. It is really easy to get the player board to move in round 1. I want to emphasize that. So whoever you pick in round 1, there's a really good chance that the next person that uses the simulator is going to see your player in round 1 to the team that you drafted him for. That's by design. Okay. By the time you get to rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you're going to need a lot of people to agree with you to move the player up the board. So, for example, I picked Kendall Milton. Okay. What's it going to take for Kendall Milton to go to the top of the round 4 board for the Texans? It's not my pick alone that will do that. Okay. So if you think about it, like this is pick 124 and Milton is 200, ranked 200 now on the Texans board. So he moved up, but he's more likely to be a Texans pick in round 6 right now than he is a Texans pick in round 4. Until more people agree with me that you would take Milton in round 4, the Texans might draft him in round 6. If you simulate a 7-round mock for a different team, let me know if Milton shows up on the Texans round 6 board, round 6 pick. Fans have control over who is mock drafted to their team. That is the fundamental design of this simulator. So it's not about what big board does the site have. It's all about, are fans using the simulator and how well do the fans know what round to pick somebody in? So we want to find that fanatic somewhere in the world who picks for the Texans and knows pick player A in this round and player B in that round. And we want fans all over the world to be drafting against the opinions of fans all over the world. And nfldraftfanatics.com is going to be led by fans that don't know each other, that don't communicate with each other, that inject their opinions on their team's draft card. That's what we're after. So my name is Jim Wickens. You can find me on Twitter or X at nfldraftfanatic. There is no I in fanatic on my Twitter. So at nfldraftfanatic. There's a YouTube channel. You can find episodes like this for every single team. If you want to control your team's player board, there's more than one way to do it. Okay. You can do mock draft after mock draft, and eventually the team's player board will mimic your mocks. You can do a first round challenge, second round challenge, third round challenge, FANATIC mode to manipulate the player boards. And there's a YouTube video for every single team on how those boards move. So go ahead and look up the YouTube station for nfldraftfanatics.com. You should be able to find a video for a first round challenge and second round challenge for every team in the league. Okay. We're now in the process of making the FANATIC mode videos for every single team. And I appreciate everybody who has watched the podcast, everybody that's listened. If you're trying a mock draft, we welcome you trying our simulator. Please give us feedback. We welcome the feedback from the draft community everywhere. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Jim Wickens. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you very much.